Hi, everybody. Welcome to the chat. Welcome. Today we have a super special guest, and I'm really honored for you to be here. Welcome, Josh with Aqua Mate. Thank you so much for having a chit chat with us.
I'm honored to be here as well. Thank you very much for having me.
I do think this is the first time I've ever talked to anybody that lived so far away. So again, thank you.
Yeah, so
happy much further away, can we?
Saturday morning.
Yeah, happy Saturday morning.
You know, it's actually a really special day here today. It is grand final day, and it's the greatest day of the year. Doesn't matter what team you go for. But it's been really weird with everything going on because it's normally the last Saturday in September. So they've pushed it back a month. But they've also, where I live in Melbourne, which we are the self-proclaimed sporting capital of the world. There's just so many sports going on where I live. We usually host it for the last 120 years. And this year it's in Brisbane. So everyone's like, oh, there's no grand final here. It has to be in Brisbane because it's safer up there. And it's the first time there's going to be a night grand final. So when you guys wake up in the morning, try and find, I don't know what, your cable network sports, and try and catch a glimpse of the AFL Grand Final.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's gotten into sports recently out of nowhere, so it'll be something we can something new to look at.
Well,
yeah, definitely.
I've always been into like anything super competitive, like rugby. I mean,
he does wrestling.
Yeah. Anything where I can get some serious physical contact. I want to see hits.
Well, then,
and I play golf.
Yeah, I try and play golf. I am horrible at golf. Well, Jesse, definitely make sure you check it out because I talk to a lot of Americans and I talk about Aussie rules football and they're like, what are you talking about? Like even after this, YouTube, just the highlights. If you want to see hits, it's like NFL, but with no padding, but it's just nonstop. There's no timeouts. It's just go.
Yep. Australian rules football is freaking insane.
Fun.
I love it.
My camera's just like blurring every now and then.
I would. Oh, if I was just still a little bit younger, I would try it. I would do it.
Carrie's like, let's get this guy on to talk about fish, and he just starts talking about
some of the stuff he does. I just honestly sit back. I'm like, I'm either gonna have to doctor you up, or this is gonna be comical. Because if you get hurt, knowing what you're doing, I will laugh while I take care of you.
As long as you film it.
Yeah. So some of the stuff. But I did get him addicted to your aquascapes because I feel like your aquascapes are worlds around anything I could possibly think of doing.
They are. Honestly, I've been assisted with all of them as far as like trying. The one that I'm really proud of is the Iwagumi, which is next to me. It was sort of already set up at an expo and then I got it, but it all like fell apart. So then sort of recreated it. But then, to get all the plants in there was something at the start of the year. I kind of went, you know what I want to learn over the next 12 months and for the rest of my life probably, but how to aquascape and try and make tanks look, I don't know, make them look like a natural work of art. And what it's probably done, which I don't talk about all the time, is with a lot of people's fish rooms, like you have, how many tanks have you got?
I don't even know. Like,
I love it when people say,
I downsized. I took a bunch of smaller ones down, but put up a 55-gallon, which is, I have no idea what liters that is. But so I think I have the same water volume per se, but probably like 25, 26. Yeah. Something like that.
Because you breed a lot of guppies and stuff, yeah?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I was thinking, do I go down that path or do I go down the path of less tanks and just spend ages on trying to make an aquascape? And I think that's what I'll end up doing. There's a lot of good YouTubers out there, a lot of good fish keepers that breed and do a lot better job than me and probably know a lot more than me. So I'm just like, maybe I'll just try and just create a couple really nice tanks. And I love nano fish. Like I love guppies, I love tetras, love rasboras, and I like to just have like 20 of one type of fish in a nice planted tank, and then I'll go on and do another one. So what's really cool is I've got SensorScape that I'll be setting up over here, from an award-winning aquascape artist. And
is that the one you unboxed?
Unboxed it, yeah.
So a week ago or something.
I've got to try and recreate what he made. So there's actually a video about him making that. And then later today, there was an aquascape that myself and Boaz worked on. So Boaz runs basically my local fish store. And he did like a tutorial on how to aquascape. We went there, I did like 5 or 6 episodes. That tank is still sitting in the shop, growing all the plants, and I haven't seen it for like 2 months. So after this, I'm going there, and I'm really excited to see the progress it's made. Because eventually I'll be bringing that back to the fish room too. But in saying all that, all of them have been sort of assisted in some way, shape, or form. So the next one I want to be unassisted, and then we can see if it's any good.
Well, they all look great.
I'm sure it will be. I'm sure
you
it will
do a good job.
Fingers crossed.
Definitely jealous with the CO2, but
because do you have that on some or all of your tanks, the CO2?
I've only ever just set it up for the first time.
Because I feel like you can have it on some of them, but I saw
I put it in the Iwagumi, and the plants are already established, so they probably got a little greener. It looked a little bit prettier and looked nicer, but I'm cheating right now, and I've put it on a 10-liter, so 2.5 gallon shrimp tank. There's no shrimp in there. There's no fish in there at all. But I unboxed this a while ago, and then I set it up. I scaped it. I was really happy with it and everything. And then bang, I just had algae blooms, bacteria blooms, all these issues. And I think it's because it's such a small volume of water with a lot of aqua soil to try and fertilize these plants that the cycle's really not kicking in properly. So what I've done this time is I've put in new plants that are a little bit harder to grow, to be honest, but then added the CO2. And I want the plants to just get on top of it, and then I'll pull the CO2 out, and then I can add some shrimp, because not a good idea with CO2 with shrimp. Makes it a lot harder to breed them. But so what it is at the moment, that will then go on to the next scape. So I'm sort of just shuffling it at the moment, experimenting, because I'm brand new to CO2.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it intimidates me. And I like to keep things simple.
No, I was exactly the same. I'm like, you want me to like pump a gas into the water that's actually lethal to the fish?
Yeah, like how much? And then if I leave and something happens, I won't know how to fix it. But it was looking really good, because he likes is it the Monte Carlo plant?
Yeah.
The one behind you, and we have some Carry Tetras, and we want it to carpet like you have. But I just have, in that tank, the first level is dirt, and then we did fluval stratum, and then I did a little bit of a layer of sand, and then I put more fluval stratum on top of that. And it looked great in the beginning, and everything took off really well. But then it kind of crashed a little bit. But now it's picking back up. It seems like
leveled out.
I added a little bit more fluval on top, so hopefully.
Well, the probably the beginner's thing that I approached, which probably what I mean, I suppose, is the first time I tried really hard to grow a carpet, I just did the dry start method. I'd let the carpet take over and then flooded the tank. So I had the Iwagumi here for 3 months just with cling wrap over the top of it, and I just spray it with water every time I saw that it was a little bit dry, and the plant just took off, covered the bottom, and then I flooded it. So the plant was already established, and then what happens then is all of a sudden I just got a massive algae bloom, and all the plant just started sort of wilting and I'm not sure the proper term, but it's not ammonia burn, but it started wilting and going a little bit brown, but then from that, then it grows and regenerates really well after that. And I noticed that the algae was really bad, and then I cleaned it, and then it was pretty bad. I cleaned it, then it wasn't too bad. I cleaned it, and now I pretty much get no algae because the plant's so on top of it. The algae's got, it's very. Looking at it right now, I probably just need to give it a little bit of a wipe down, but there's hardly anything there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a few. I have one. It's got a few inler type guppies in it, but I separated them out. But it was mainly a shrimp tank at first, and it just grew algae real good because the filter broke, and I was tired of dealing with the filter, so I just took the filter off, so there's no filter on it, and the water's crystal clear. It's so clear, but it's just now getting to where I kind of stripped it all back and cleaned it as best as I could without cleaning it too much. If that makes sense. But we'll see if it was that
you put fluval stratum in that one?
No, this one, well, it's got a tiny bit. This one's a little 5-gallon. It was a shrimp only tank for a little while, and then I got some new inler types and put it in there because that's all I
endlers and shrimp.
Oh, yeah.
Together so well.
It's mainly pebbles. There's a lot of pebbles and a little bit of sand with just a handful of fluval in there. So it's kind of an everything mixed up substrate. There's some pebbles and sand, everything.
That's what I've gotten for with the little 10-liter shrimp tank. I'm wondering because I remember when I did the first aqua soil I ever used was the fluval stratum, and I could not get over. I'm like looking at all the tanks going, when you look at a fish tank and you're like, yep, there's water in it. It's pretty clear. But then you look at a fish tank and you go, whoa, it's like crystal clear.
Yeah.
I reckon it's got to have something to do with that aqua soil, because that's exactly what mine was like. I put it next to the other tank and went, why is it so much cleaner than everything else? When
it looks so clear, it looks like there's no water in it. It just looks like everything's kind of floating. It's so crystal clear.
And then you get snails, and then they go, no, there's water in there. There's snails.
Yeah. Got one above Jesse's head. I tried, and I just would move them outside into the koi pond or the outside tubs, but there's no, so I just stopped. I'm like, whatever grows, snail-wise grows. They're not bad. They're just, sometimes you're like, there's some fish in there somewhere through the snails, right?
I have no problem with them. I mean, the iwagumi is like the whole idea behind iwagumi is that you use like one plant, use a large rock, and offset it with another couple of rocks. It's really simplistic. Mm-hmm. You just follow a couple of rocks and then just have one fish. And apparently one snail. And the problem with this snail is I started with a couple, and now there'd be over 100 in there. And it makes me tempted to put one other fish in there that just like snacking on snails.
Yeah.
But maybe that I do that as a not a permanent thing. Just get it in there, help clean, get it under control, and then put them in a bigger tank.
You could try some like my pea puffers when I had them back in the day would chow down on some snails, but I don't know if you can if they're like under $100. It seems like everything where you're at is incredibly expensive.
Pea puffers are $200, and that's if you can find them.
Yeah, that's what I was like.
Whoa.
They're like $5 over there, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty much. I got 3 of them. I think they were $10. And I had them for a while, but one got sick and passed away, and the other ones just refused to eat after that. So it just went downhill after that one. But
maybe I should ask Blake. He's got 4, and he's trying to breed them. I don't think he's focused on trying to breed them, but he's hoping that at some stage he'll get them to breed. Maybe I should just ask him if I can borrow one for a week. I
just want to feed your pea puffer a bunch real quick and give it back.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to do the say hi to the chat?
I would say the chat is they're all over the place, but hey everybody, I'll say the chat is running all over the place right now.
I wore my glasses today so I could see, and I still can't see.
Yeah, Chevy Fish is in here. I mean, there's all kinds of people in here. Kaler's in here. I mean, they're just
T-bone fishes.
Yeah, they're bouncing up and down.
Mm-hmm.
They're everybody I always sees in here, and they're
$4.99 by me for pea puffers. Yeah, I feel like every time I hear you guys talk about prices over there, I'm like, I give you props for doing fish keeping.
I'd lean toward aquascaping myself.
I feel like there's an emphasis in other places on aquascaping, and where I live, it's just kind of we put stuff where it goes, and wherever it grows, and whatever you put in there, you put in there. And
yeah,
it seems like is it aesthetic is different. It's just, and it's just so beautiful. Like every time
You're talking about Bob's comment as well. Bob made a good point. He's like, we always talk about making a natural aquascape, but it's not actually what the fish are used to anyway.
Yeah.
It's a really good point because I think there's a certain, I don't know, we sort of emulate what aquascapes we see and we like. And we're like, I want a tank to look like that. But if I reckon it's got something to do with the volume of water as well. Like when you try and recreate a natural habitat in a small box, it's either going to look boring if you actually truly emulate it because you're not going to have that plant and that plant and that plant and that wood and those leaves all in the same place. It's just going to be sort of more spread out and vast. But it's a good point. I think it's probably a good challenge, I reckon. Try and do a tank that looks exactly like nature, but but still pleasing on the eye, I suppose. I tried to do that a little bit with the goldfish thing over here and make it look like a little bit of a river/pond, which I know a pond's not a natural environment for a goldfish, but to try and make it look more like something like that than just a glass box.
Yeah.
And we'll be all headed to either brown or green water.
Yeah, exactly. Like that tank there, you can see a little bit of the light through it. That is it's like tea brown, that tank. And that's just the tannins from the wood.
Because you have endlers in that tank, don't you?
Yeah, they're going nuts. I actually had someone come over the other day and give me some what is it? Mealworms starter. I don't know how to make my own live food or breed or cultivate live food, but I am going to try. And I gave him some of the endlers there, so I'm hoping he'll end up getting to breed a few as well.
I have some mealworms in a empty aquarium with just some dirt, and I feed them cricket food and what is that chicken feed that your mom has?
Oh, oyster shells.
Oh, oyster shells is what I feed them. And then I've gotten beetles. Like there's always a good mix of beetles in there with them, but I don't know if I could get more. I just try, but I'm going down. But when I had the freshwater butterfly fish, when I had that one, I'm assuming he ate mealworms daily all the time, but I don't feed them to the smaller ones down here in the fish room. I'll feed them to the arowana upstairs for like a snack. If he's eyeballing me, like, you need to give me some attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was sitting up there the other day because we have it's a big 6-foot tank in our dining room for that silver arowana. And so every time we sit up there and we work or we eat or do something, it'll eyeball you. And Jesse was like, "What do you want? What?" I'm like, we treat that fish like a puppy dog, but he'll whine. He'll splash the water to get our attention. I'm like, I think he's just always hungry.
I love that with them. It seems that lots of big fish, they get a personality, and it's probably the advantage of larger fish. So you get a bit of a connection with them. That's one thing definitely with goldfish. I've got that myself in Pleco, but he's sort of like I mean, he mainly just sits there and does nothing. But the one that blew me away was when I got my first saltwater tank.
Mm-hmm.
The clownfish are like, straight away, they're like, oh, you're here. They come up, and then I put my finger in the tank. He'll come up and just start nibbling on my finger. I'm like, you don't care. These guys have heaps of personality. So that's probably, I mean, I know they get bigger, not too big, but he's only like this big. So it's really cute to see a little fish like that respond like a big water puppy, like an arowana or an Oscar or whatever.
I'm always
there's another fun fish that are illegal down here.
Oh, which one? The
Arowanas.
Oh, even the silver ones? Really?
Yeah, what have we got? I think they're called Jardinis. Oh no, Saratogas. I've gone blank now.
Yeah, the other one is, I can't pronounce it right. It gets larger than the silver one. I think it's larger and meaner, I think.
Yeah.
But this one, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I saw it and fell in love because they never have fish like that available here. And they, the old pet shop owner sold it. She retired. And the new guy that took over was getting these fish that I never thought I would get to see, much less buy. So I was like, this is going to be a learning curve, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. We're going to learn. We're going to get this done. And man, I am so attached. I am so attached.
So now I have a monster tank in my dining room.
But with that, we also have two others in there. How old is your goldfish that you have?
So I've got one large goldfish. I have no idea. I would say he's probably 4 or 5 years old because he's been handed down twice.
Okay.
And then the other one, I reckon, who's swimming upside down at the moment, is about a year old. He constantly gets air pockets stuck in his tummy.
Oh.
So I've always got to like feed him some greens. So like I'll usually just get a whole bunch of duckweed and chuck it in there, and he'll go up and he'll eat enough, and it'll make him pass whatever's causing him issues. But that's one of those things with fancy goldfish. They just inherently can end up with some sort of a problem. Like he's a cute fish, he's a little chubby little thing, but that's probably because he's not meant to be that chubby.
The goldfish. We have a goldfish upstairs in a 75-gallon, and it's my one. This goldfish went with me to every apartment through my 20s. I think I got it when I was 22. So it went through every roommate, every move, everything. And I still have it. And I love, like, they're so interesting to watch swim. Like, they just go forwards and backwards and sideways. And he doesn't have, like, the biggest personality, but they're just really fun to watch swim.
Yeah. I think when they're just, like, trying to get food and they're like, their body is not sleek and designed to just for speed. So how old is it?
Oh, probably, I don't even know, like, probably 13.
Yeah, that'd be about right.
It's been with me. I had two, and the other one passed away a few years ago, but this other one's still trekking.
How big is it?
Probably about the size of my hand. It's not overly large. The one outside, I have a koi pond outside with a handful of koi and one goldfish and then some rosy red minnows. And that goldfish being outside is 3 times as large. It's a pretty big size goldfish, but it's not, I think it's only a couple of years old. But this one, it doesn't look the best. Like some of its scales are they're a little rough, but overall, like it's just, he'll come up to the tank when you walk in there and just beg for food too. And anytime any type of spet of duckweed comes into the fish room, they get it. And so I never have a chance to get a collection of it because I'll feed it directly as soon as I see it, but for a snack.
They destroy it. Oh, yeah. Kayla's going to be putting everybody onto the biotopes.
Every time I see something new, though, that's beeping.
Now we'll be rescaping tanks.
Oh, there it goes. Never mind. It stopped. Yeah, every time I watch something, I'm like, ooh, I want to try to do that. And I'm never as talented as everybody else when it comes to that. I'm like, how did they do that?
Well, now I want to check it out because he said there's a bunch of different things you can look up about escaping tanks and what they naturally live in. So
Like I like all of them. Like
hopefully that's a lot easier because I can't skate the way he can. So hopefully that's a lot easier.
Well, biotope, so it's like you have the plants from outside, and so your tank you'll only be this big, and then above that you'll have soil, and then you'll have plants, and so you sort of do it creating nature, like the planted area of the riverbanks or whatever it is, and then into the river. When done well, they look amazing. But I think I've never tried one, but I think probably the key would be that you've got to be able to try and get the water back to the top to keep everything, growing and, the right sort of humidity and all that sort of stuff to keep everything working well. But definitely would look cool. There was one amazing one at the Underwater Pet Expo, but it was like...
Fred, that's what I was just thinking. I'm going to interrupt you. Is that the one that I can't remember his name, but they won first place that you're friends with that sent you the box of aquascapes?
Yeah, well, his is the aquascape. So he won first place in the aquascape competition, but there was I can't remember if it wasn't bioscape, but there was like a 6-foot biotope by like 6 foot tall. So it was mainly plants, and there was only like this much water, but 6 foot wide. So that was fantastic. It had misters and all that sort of stuff. So everything was getting what it needed.
The one you showed in your video of your friend, I think one was up. Like, how long did that take to do? Did they just have a few hours, or did they have the whole day?
They started Saturday morning, and they were done judging and won by Saturday afternoon.
Well, wow. It was great. Yeah.
It was kind of, so we learned a lot of lessons then. Like, we wanted to be involved as much as possible because down here there's not like I suppose I can pretty proudly say now there is a fish fam down here now. Whereas, in America, you see people go to like all these events and then they're catching up with each other, and like there's actually people that are there to see specific YouTubers and stuff. We were lucky enough that we got offered to have a stand there. So we were there. We had stickers. We gave out show bags with all of their like stickers and little offers from some of the local businesses and that sort of thing. And then what kind of I think ended up being a big kind of regret doing it that way was that we sort of sat down, was streaming for hours, catching up with all you guys, which was awesome. But then we realized we're kind of missing all the things that were happening around us. So if we do it again next year, fingers crossed, probably not looking good yet. But then I reckon what we'll do is we'll schedule it. So maybe I'll be able to bring you guys into the Underwater Pet Expo for like an hour, and then maybe another channel will do it a couple hours later.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it looked like a fun time. Like, I've always wanted to go to Australia, but I'm honestly scared of all the things that I feel in my head will bite me, sting me, or eat me.
That's all right. You just don't go outside.
Yeah. It's always been a place that's like one of those bucket list, dream list places that you want to go. But I watch all those animal shows and I'm like, well, everything venomous is in Australia. But
yeah, it's pretty true. I'm just trying to think though. Like, I'm 35 and I don't think I've ever seen a snake in the wild.
Really?
I haven't seen a great white, so that's a big plus. I've seen crocodiles because I've gone looking for them, but they're way up north, so they're not even down here. So down where I am, it's probably only really the spiders, and every now and then you'll find like a redback or a whitetail, and the redback's a really dangerous one. We had a redback plague a couple of years ago. I was like, why have I found more than one this year when I never know? Like, you very rarely find them. And yeah, that was looked it up in the newspapers, was saying that there was a plague of redbacks. You're like, seriously?
Like, of all the things, it was
nature's trying to wipe us out.
Yeah, it's kind of random, but it was funny because yesterday, like, my kiddo was outside and there was bats flying all around. Like, they're always out at night, but yesterday they were flying all around. And Brian was like, is that a real bat? I'm like, yeah, that's a real bat. He's like, look at Swigs. I really thought he thought like Batman was just going to like appear because of all of the bats, and he's still in that superhero phase. And I'm just like, he was just out there mesmerized by those dang bats. And I was like, well,
There's something about them and the way they behave. It's really weird. We very, very rarely see a bat.
Really?
But there's twice now in the last few years, usually around Christmas time, so like peak sort of summer. The inner suburbs of the city, like we'll go out some nights and look at everyone's Christmas lights, and there's no streets that are like do really good, have lots of really good lights on their houses and stuff. So a lot of people go out, and there was this one night, and it's happened a couple of times, where all of a sudden thousands and thousands and thousands of bats just flying overhead, and there's so many flying overhead that you can see like 100 at any one time, and it goes for like 40 minutes. Just the first bat, and then the last bat's 40 minutes later. Like, and I don't know where they're going or what they're doing. And then I try and look it up in the news and stuff the next day, and there's no mention of them. And you're like, that's a really cool natural thing. What is it?
We used to go on field trips to caves when we were in grade school, and they would tell you certain parts of the caves you like tried to be very careful because you didn't want to disturb the bats in the cave. And I was like, okay, I don't really want to. Like I'm okay. I don't mind them, but I don't want them swarming.
Well, somebody from Hampton was down. T-Bone wanted to know if I liked fish before I got with you, and he said also not everything down there is dangerous. They got koalas and kangaroos.
I know. But have you seen those kangaroo fights where they balance on their tail and they're like,
yep,
they're dangerous too. They're cuddly looking.
I was about to say koalas and kangaroos can be pretty dangerous.
He's in that rabbit hole of like those viral videos of those animal things, and I'm like,
yeah. So where I live, you see kangaroos a lot. Like you just have to drive to an open area, and they're always out there grazing. And where we go camping, we always end up right next to koalas. And the noises they make at night, they sound like a feral pig cross.
Really?
Some sort of demon monster thing. They're just like, I can't even try and replicate the sound they make. But you're laying in the tent and you just hear this noise going. What is going on over there?
Paige, welcome.
Well, Jess Shrimp Granny's in there. I just seen her a little bit ago.
Hey, everybody in the chat.
They just keeps going. I just keep reading.
It's like a ritual now to watch Father Fish and Mary in the morning while I'm cooking breakfast for my son for school.
In the mornings, so this is the problem. So I miss so many people's streams just because of the timing. And then when I'm awake and it's normal time, like normal time for me, I'm usually at work, and I just miss so many of these things. And actually, I don't get to see a lot of Father Fish's stuff, but I did reach out to him, and he will be joining me on my channel on the Aqua Mate experience sometime soon. We're coming into summer, and I sell air conditioning, and we work Saturdays if there's enough work. And I'm just sort of Saturday morning, like right now, this is the perfect time to sort of catch both audiences. I'm just waiting to find out what's going on with our lockdown and if we're going to be working more Saturdays. So I've got to take it 1 week at a time. And being summer, and it's raining and cold and miserable here today.
Yesterday here, it was 80 degrees and beautiful. And today it's 50 and raining.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll go back to yesterday.
We got the same weather then.
What's going on? But every day, there's some days here we'll get all seasons. It'll start off warm, then it'll snow, then it'll rain, and then it'll go back to being warm. And I'm like, make up your mind. I'm trying to bring all those plants from the tubs outside, and I was waiting for that one warm day. I was out there picking plants the other day. I was like, it's too cold for this. The water was cold, but I'm trying white clouds. I'm going to leave them outside. It's a 300-gallon tub, and there's only a handful of white clouds in there right now, but I'm hoping to leave them in there all winter.
Yep.
So,
they were the first fish I ever kept.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you breed them or just keep them?
Did I what?
Did you breed them? Did you have any luck with breeding them?
There was like a little delay there, and I thought you said, "Did you eat them?" I'm like, "No."
Well, yes, answer back Jesse's question. Before he got together, that's all he did. He didn't like fish. He just ate fish.
I'm allergic to fish. I can't eat them. I get
Really?
sick. Yeah, so I'm like, maybe I was made to look after fish, not eat them.
I felt like I bred them, but I never got any to grow up.
I've never bred them. They apparently aren't that hard to breed. And I did, about maybe a year ago now, I decided to replicate the first fish tank I ever had. I just actually kind of annoyed me. I thought, I was like, this is a really good idea for a video. Replicate the first fish tank you ever had. And I encourage anyone to do it. And then a week later, King of DIY comes out going, first fish tank I ever had. I'm like, it was in my brain or something. Like now it looks like I'm just copying. But anyway, I did it and it didn't go well for the white clouds. I don't know why. So sometimes I'll try something and then the fish either die or something doesn't work. And so I just stop for like a long time and go, what was it? Because the weird thing is in that tank right now is 8 rasboras, Harlequin rasboras, and they're like completely fine. I put them in there, the white clouds in there with shrimp. There's hundreds of shrimp. Every plant, what's really weird is I've put the weakest light I've got and no aqua soil, just rocks. And every plant in there is growing. There's some like guppy grass will grow in there, but it won't grow in here with the aqua soil.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
That's just weird. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on. What is...
I laughed out loud when you said that. It's like, I like this tank for this plant and this tank for breeding this fish. And I was like, I can relate to that.
unless you're able to test your water for every parameter want to test your water for every parameter, which most people wouldn't. It's just
I don't know why.
How long they've been established, and it in my opinion, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right, and that's some of the thing. Like, ideally, like when you test, you've got your ammonia, nitrate, and stuff. Like, you just want them all to be pretty low. And if they're low in every tank, but one plant's growing in one and one's not, then you think about, all right, the light. What's the difference with the light? Is it how often I turn the light on? Or is it that light is perfect for that size tank, even though it's like a weaker, it's only a 3-watt light. And over here is a 6-watt light. I mean, the plants are doing well in there too, but they're completely different plants that don't seem to be able to go from tank to tank.
Yeah, this one that's on this bottom shelf behind me right here, this one, that looks so good.
Anubias?
Yes, looks good. There's no filter on that tank. The only light that I use on it is that little bitty flimsy cheap one that like snaps in one of those kits. And barely, like I do water change it and I clean it, but I don't take very much out at any given time. And it will grow beautifully. But some of these other ones that I have like this $100 light on and all this really expensive growth stuff, I'm like, all it does is melt.
Well, that's the thing, I reckon, and that's part of the key, especially like you're lucky enough to have that many tanks. And that's what I'm sort of do as well is if it's working well, grab some of that plant and put it in another tank. And if it dies, you haven't lost everything. But if you can grow it out, and I've probably learned that a bit by visiting Blake's Aquatics in his fish room. I kind of looked and I was like, all right, so you've got Epistogrammas in this tank with that plant. And then over here, you've got Guppies with that plant. And then you turn around and looked at some of his display community tanks and he's taken the plant out of that, the plant out of that, the plant out of that. And then he's probably got CO2 on the community tank. So then they're all thriving. But because he's growing every single plant, he has that variety. So I started looking at that going, all right, every time I can grow something, I'll try and move it. And if I end up growing more and more, like the Monte Carlo, I've gone to the next level of trying to get more Monte Carlo by growing it in its hub outside. So I planted it all, made a video about it, and bang, everything just died. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have to like put a disclaimer on this video. But then it's all
That's a good idea.
Well, it's all starting to come out now. It's like it's weird. It just dies off and then it starts growing itself. And now I'm hoping that, by the end of summer, so in like 4 or 5 months, that'll just be a big, thick carpet where I can just sort of cut it and go, I'm going to put that into this tank and then let it grow. And I think if something's working, then maybe even try grab one of the plants that you're struggling with now and try and move it into that tank and see if it changes things.
Yeah. I'm always switch. About the time I'm like, I'm good for today. Then I'll come down here and be like, well, that might look good in that tank, or maybe. And I don't like. I wish I had enough, like, I don't know, money, time, and effort to have a set of everything for each tank eventually. But I use this for that and this for that and try to clean it off the best I can. But I'm always shuffling and moving and trying things, especially since I got into this whole live plant thing. Because when I had tanks growing up, I only used plastic stuff. I never did the live plant stuff at all. And then when I started looking at all these tanks and everybody's channels, I was like, that looks so good. I want to try it. But
I think that's the thing. You just got to try it. Like you said earlier before, you're like, I'm worried about CO2. But you also then said before you were worried about the arowana, and then you did it now, how much you love it. Like, that's the lesson, isn't it? Just go for it, and you'll take the positive experience out of it.
Jesse knows me well. Like, I'm the type of person that I'll do and eat and do the same thing every day at the same time for months on end, because that's my little routine. So once he pushes me to do something like talking to people and reaching out and doing new things and trying this adventurous, it's like amazing how much it works out.
Yeah, well, it's so true. I sat there for ages going, I want to document my fish seal. Like, I love watching Rachel O'Leary and Solid Gold Aquatics and stuff, and going, I want to do that. Why would anyone want to watch that? And then just going, you know what, do it. And I was so nervous to like hit upload, you've done this, and so nervous to talk on the camera, or people are going to judge the way I look and all this sort of stuff. Yep. And then when I do it, I just went, I feel really good. Like I've accomplished something. So I've sort of learnt really fast doing this, which is a really cool life lesson, that if you're nervous about doing something and you're worried and stuff, if you just do it, it means you're nervous because you care. Yeah. So if you want it to work and it does work, then you feel so rewarded. If it doesn't work, then you're going to learn something anyway. So I just say go for it. And just like, how much you're going to spend on CO2 now? I'm going
to go get some tonight, because I don't really know exactly what. I talked about starting a channel forever, but I never did it. And then I stumbled upon like the fish fam stuff when I was doing my research for college. And I was like, like you, I'm like, people are like me, like they'll watch this stuff. Like I want to learn new things too. So it's like, I felt like I would shake when I film. I was like, I might have to redo that just for the fact that I'm so nervous. But then after I would figure out every step I had to figure out, how do you take something and get the background music off of it so you don't hear the background noise, or how do you do a voiceover? It was like everything took me so long. It still takes me forever, but each step I had to figure out, like, how do you make a thumbnail? I don't know. But I felt so accomplished. Even if it wasn't good, I would be like, look, Mom, look, Jesse, look at my video. And I would just be like, that's me. Wow. That's cool.
And then you have a video that gets 45,000 views.
Yeah,
that's insane. Yeah, but it's so good, and it wouldn't have happened if you didn't. Yeah, my hand's really bad. It wouldn't have happened if
you're not bold.
It'll come.
But it's one of those things. I'm so glad I pushed myself to kind of get outside my box and reach out and talk to new people, because it's so fun.
I know. The only thing, it's funny as well, like if it starts becoming a chore, it starts becoming tricky. It's not sure, I just feel like I don't have enough time to do everything I want to do on a weekend.
Yeah.
So I'll usually on a Sunday, I'll go, all right, because I try and release a video on a Tuesday morning and a Wednesday night. So Tuesday is Monday night for you, and then a Wednesday morning, I think, whatever. But I try and film them on a Sunday, and then I am pretty much just editing all Monday night to try and get ready for Tuesday morning, and then usually editing Tuesday night to finalize Wednesday. And I don't think that's sustainable the way that I'm trying to approach how to do it. So I'm trying to figure out, and I'd probably learn from you in that you do the same thing on the same time for a while. If I could just do that, because I'm the sort of, I'll do it soon. Oh yeah, I'll think about it. I don't even know what my next video is going to be on Tuesday morning. I have no idea what it is. But today I'm going to pull the camera out and I'm going to go, this will work.
That's I was doing really good with getting weekly videos out for a while. I was like really proud of myself. But now with the kids being in school and keeping them on track and housework chores, and I would really like to get a website pulled together because my mom makes really good t-shirts. So I want her to do some Sign Scowl shirts for me. So trying to do a website and then all of, chores and errands and all of that. It's like, man, the day went by and I didn't do anything on my video.
Yeah, I know. Putting up with me
about being in public. Like, for example, I've got to go to the fish store, meeting someone there that's a friend of the channel. I can't say her name. I'm going to have a go at it today. Shrimp influencer on Instagram, making some of her own shrimp food. So she said, come by and grab some of that at our local fish store. I've got to get some stuff from there anyway. But I'm like, well, I'm going to do a video on it to try and like show what you're doing because it's awesome. And I love those stories. I love the stories of people going, I'm trying to do something else with it. It's going to change other people's views or opinions or, build a product or a brand. And I'm like, man, we've all got to wear masks. And then I've got to walk into the shop and then really like, what am I going to do? So I hate that part. But it's so rewarding when you get that footage and then you come home and go, that's perfect. Like that actually tells the story, whereas it's just awkward at the time. And then I can do the rest from here. But yeah, the public one is a bit weird. And I love having other people in videos too. Like sometimes it's just like, here's Josh talking to himself again.
I still haven't done that. I've asked my local fish store. I've asked him, I think, every time I've gone in there if it's okay to film. And he's like, yeah, sure. But then I'm like, it's really, I don't know why but it makes me even more nervous to like go in there and be like, hi.
That's your next step. I was going to say like two things. I'm going to challenge you here because I would like you guys to join me like 6 months or something like on the Aqua Mate experience. But by that time, it would be really cool to see if between now and then, if you can do a fish store tour and an aquascape and just try something different. Whether you do like a CO2, I don't know, whatever you want to do, but like be really fun to catch up in 6 months and you go, Josh, I hate you. You told me to do that and it didn't work.
What happened is I'll do it. I'll plan it out. I'll be like, this is what's good time we're going to leave. This is what we're going to do.
I'll do
and
one.
Then all the day, I'm going to be like, I'm just so nervous. I'm like, and then I'll get there and I'll be fine. And Jesse's like, why did you freak out for 5 hours when you're going to do a good job anyway? I'll be like, because that's just me.
October, November, December, January.
I always end up doing it, but I have to psych myself up and like, and that's really because I always think of every possible thing that could happen, good or bad, all at the same time. And then so I get myself worked up for no reason. Yeah.
No, I think that's that thing as well, though, isn't it? That means that you care. So you're like, why am I like freaking out so much? Because you care. And then it's funny, if you didn't freak out and you just did it, then you wouldn't get that reward at the end. It's almost like you got to go through the stressful bit to get the really happy with that bit.
Yeah. Yeah, because you feel so accomplished, or I don't know, like I did something I was scared of and everything was fine. But I don't know, being nervous. I always tell myself it's just because I want to represent and do a good job. I just want to do a good job.
Well, he said 6 months, so that'll work. I'll do it. I'll flip Kayla's aquatics idea. I'll do a biotope, but it'll be outside and a whole nother pond.
Yeah. I have this epic backyard like pond in my head, but I want it to be like a lazy river. So I want it to be kind of skinny, but kind of wiggle around the backyard and be like, that's so cool, but it sounds really expensive. But the way that the yard is, it's kind of higher on one side. So it could kind of work.
I could do it. Pretty easy.
Yeah, well.
I really would like to do like a pond idea that if you had, higher at one side, and just have like a glass panel on the side of it. Mm-hmm. So you've got a pond, but then as it's high, you can sort of look into the pond as well. I'll show you this. I took a screenshot of it because I'm like, I'm going to remember this and then want to show someone, and then I won't.
Because that's the one thing I like about ponds. I wish I could see into the world.
This is a pond. I think it's in Thailand.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that picture.
How cool is that?
That's awesome.
All right. Now, I would like to do that in reverse.
And go ahead while you're at it. Make it my whole backyard.
I'd like to do that in reverse as far as the fact that you walk on the outside of the pond and walk down and can see across. Like
I thought you meant that you would want the koi taking a photo of you swimming in the pond.
Oh, I can see that too. That would be crazy. That would be difficult. I'd have to reverse engineer that one.
That's another one as well. Koi are illegal here as well.
Really?
Yeah. Really weird. The Aussies here know this and I've probably spoken about it a few times, but koi are illegal where I live, and shrimp are illegal in WA, the other side of Australia.
Oh.
Whoa.
I can't get the whole shrimp. I don't understand the shrimp thing, but yeah. So they want shrimp and we want koi.
I like the koi. Like the koi. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah. That's crazy.
The one thing I like about the koi the most is when you feed them, they're so slurpy and loud that it's so annoyingly cute. You're like, why are you such a loud eater? But it's kind of cool. They'll just come up and they'll eat anything. But yeah, I'm sorry on that one.
Yeah, it's annoying. I reckon that I will try and figure out a way anyway. Because they're not illegal in New South Wales, so I just go and get some.
Every time I hear like different rules and I don't know, you guys, I gave you mad props for sticking with the Hobley. That seems very complicated.
Well, there's that sort of thing, but then how many rainbow fish and pseudomogals do you have access to? Mm-hmm. And that's something that a lot of it's not prominent for a lot of Aussies because we do like a lot of, your South American fish, like just like the fish I was saying before, the tetras, the guppies, all that sort of stuff. But when you really look into what's native to Australia and native to like Papua New Guinea, which is just above the top of Australia, that the pseudomogals, the rainbow fish are stunning. And that's probably something that I want to do with, I think I just made my mind up with that. That scape that Jag sent to me, it probably would be like really fun to put 10 pseudomogals in there and to be something different. And then not only is it a cool scape, but a lot of the people here click on the video and go, never seen that fish before. What are they? They are really cool. And they have a lot of they look almost alien like. They're nano fish with just fins going everywhere and different colors, and you go, never seen anything like it. So it's sort of something special. They're already someone I love pseudomonas.
Yeah, I seen it just popped up.
Sometimes this chat's like right on it, and sometimes it's like I think I'm missing a bunch of stuff. I better grab my phone.
StreamYard? Yeah, StreamYard, like it takes, I don't know, it's like it refreshes every 30 seconds or minute, so you miss things.
Yeah, that's I haven't done any of the rainbow fish, but they're always fascinating to look at in a tank when I see them. It's like, wow. But those are one of the. I've kept a little bit of everything for the most part through the years. I just didn't realize. I realized what I had when I had it because I was younger. But the rainbows are definitely one that I just haven't.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Rainbows now.
And all of those, but they're beautiful.
Yeah, you're setting the chat off with rainbows now. Now everybody's on the rainbow train.
Well, that's because they're pretty.
I really want to get some Bosemani rainbows, which they're not Australian, but I'd love to have a school of rummy nose and some Bosemanis in a scape tank in the lounge. The tank in my lounge room, living room, my wife hates me because it's disgusting. Like, it's the most neglected tank, like, as far as cleanliness. The fish are fine and fed and all that sort of stuff, but the it's just not as good looking as a lot of these tanks because it's like when I come out here, I can just focus on it. Whereas in there, and what I'm doing, that's one of the reasons I'm going to the store today as well, is to pick up some more supplies or pick out some supplies because I don't know how much all this is going to cost. I need to get some aqua soil, some rocks, some wood, and then pick out some plants so that I can rip down that tank. I've got a tank down here that I can put all the fish into and hold them in there, and then start trying to do a big 4-foot aquascape.
Wow.
I mean, I said before, actually, this little tank over here, I'll show you in a minute. I did that one on my own without anyone helping. And then this one is going to be probably the big one I'm going to try on my own without anyone helping. And then if it works well, it'll be featured more on the channel, and then I'll have to keep it cleaner. And I think my wife will enjoy looking at that a lot more than what she's looking at now.
Is your family, do they come and sit and watch the fish every once in a while, or is it just kind of your own little?
Yeah, my son is annoyed. He thinks I should be doing gaming on YouTube, not fish.
That's what my son says too.
My wife is like, she just walks past a lot, but every now and then she just stops and she's like, oh, I really like that fish. They love the saltwater tank because it's a new setup. I have a lot of hair algae in the saltwater tank, and it looks a bit ugly at the moment, but sounds like it's something that I can get on top of with time, unless I find a lawnmower blenny. And until that time comes, it's not going to look like the prettiest tank, but I'm hoping that once it does sort of clear up and balance out, that then I can sort of play with the corals, move it around the way that I want, and it'll be a good looking tank. But yeah, I'm just out in my garage, so no one really comes out here unless they need to get something to do something in the garden or yeah.
Yeah, when I first started my channel, no one cared about anything. They're like, you're crazy. What's up with you? And he's like, when I started dating you did not, where did all this stuff come from? Now it seems like Brighton will want to feed every once in a while. He'll come in and yell at me at first and then be like, okay, Mom, can I help you feed a little bit? And Jesse's into it. Jesse, like, it's way more fun to be like, okay, I need something and I want you to help me get it. And it's a lot easier now than it was before. He's like, okay, I'll go. I'll be like, perfect.
As long as I don't have to pick up fish. I don't do the fish. I'll get plants. I'll get substrate.
Why don't you get the fish?
Yeah, why not?
I always feel as though somehow I'm going to do something wrong and I'm going to be judged.
Well, I told him.
That's just my opinion, folks. I'm sorry.
Well,
I just feel that I will be judged at some point, sometime I did something wrong.
Well, I told him I think it was after we got back from one of the aqua shellas a few years, like a year or so ago. I don't know. I was like, now, one of the big things I used to do was I would get impatient and rush, and I'd just put the fish in the aquarium and I wouldn't check the fish bag. And I couldn't tell you how many times I needed to yell at myself and be like, why didn't you check the dang fish bag before you threw it away? And I told him, always double check the fish bag, no matter how much you think they all came out of the bag. Just always give it a glance towards the light before you throw it away, because there will be one time and your heart will break and you'll feel bad, and that happened. So now he's like, I'll do everything, but that's on you. That's your job. That's you. That's you. But it happens to the best of us.
I know it's weird, isn't it? If you think about it, that you go to a shop and you get some living creatures that need to be in water, and then you put them in a bag, and then you fly 80 miles down the freeway with these things that need to be in water, just sitting in a bag, trying to get them home to put them somewhere else. I always freak out because there's one big turn coming back into where I live. It's like a 90-degree bend. So I'm always like, just driving slowly. The car's behind me going, what's this idiot doing? And I'm like trying to make sure the bag doesn't roll anywhere, freak the fish out.
Yeah, when we go to the auction, when I come back from the fish store, we live about a mile and a half away. So I'm always driving and have like one hand on the bag. I'm like, you're good. But when we came back from that auction, we had a good like 2-hour car ride. We had like a special box and a blanket and like all this fancy stuff because we wanted, it's like taking all this extra care. I was like, I just want to be okay.
No, I know what you mean.
You care about your fish more than me sometimes.
Yeah. I carry them in, folks. That's all I do. I don't mess with anything else anymore.
He helps me water change though now, so
yep.
You do that. But
with the tank that you don't have any filter on, do you do water changes? No.
Yep, I have 4. I think we have 4 now that I just finally gave up on the filter. I was like, just take it out. I'm just done with it.
6 tanks.
Well, not that don't have no filter. I think there's 4. But I water change them about 10 to 15% once every couple of weeks. Yep. And they're the ones like by far are the most crystal clear, pristine looking. But they're all small. They're not anything big. They're all 5 gallons.
I don't do a lot of water changes. I do a lot of top-ups. Mm-hmm. So sort of water changes are like a big, clean sort of, I don't know, maybe every couple of months. But then I just always top up. So whenever I'm like, all right, the tank needs a proper clean, water change. If it doesn't, I just top up with water. And the Endler tank behind me, so that's changed from over a year ago. I put some Endlers in there and I put some red cherries in there, and I had an under gravel filter, old school. Never cleaned it in over a year without doing any water change or anything. And the plants went nuts. The guppy bred like crazy. The shrimp bred like crazy. It's like sometimes, you just, as long as you've got a bit of flow and you've got the right balance of plants and fish, and then a cleanup crew in the bacteria and the shrimp as part of your cleanup crew. It's so rewarding when you get that balance of going, okay, it might not be the prettiest tank, but it is really awesome to watch. It's so self-sufficient.
Because I used to water change.
Sustainable.
Yeah, because I used to water change like 50% every week. And everything was doing okay, but I felt like the plants were just kind of rough. I felt like I was over cleaning and taking too much out. So now I have forced myself to tone it back. And sometimes like I used to heavily gravel back, like get everything out. And now I just will gravel back like one corner. But I don't have a lot of properly fitting lids. So I felt like because I had so much evaporation since I was topping them off, I might as well water change anyway. So I'll top off a little bit each week and water change with where I'll take a little bit out every couple of weeks. And I feel if that made any sense. And I'll use plant fertilizer on the in-between. Like I'll squirt it in once a week. And it seems like the plants are doing a lot better. They're greening up a lot more. So I've learned to take a step back on that.
Yep.
Not go for it. Like, you don't have to get every speck of everything out. Plus, the shrimp are doing better because of it, and it's just overall.
Well, definitely, I think if you're adding lots of things, then you do want to do more water changes. I'm really bad. I don't fertilize really at all, and I'm one of those people. It's because I'm lazy. Like 100%, I am not going to spend enough time on each tank to like go through it, and that's just me as a person that I will try and set everything to the right parameters and the right like the substrates to be adding to the pH, KH, just get it that way and then just leave it. And that's only because I know I'll stuff it up if I don't try and do it that way. And that's one reason I'm not good with fancy guppies. I've never kept a fancy guppy past like a month.
Really?
And I think that's because I've never gone. I reckon I need to have like some crushed coral sand or a little bit of Texas holy rock or something in the filter or just at the back of the tank or under the substrate to get that pH up, to give them that heartier water. Because I tried goldfish years ago, had goldfish and no love. As soon as I get goldfish and I put in crushed coral sand, the pH goes right up. Now I've got goldfish getting huge and thriving and doing really well. So like, it's one of those things the substrate is not only is it, a good way to base the tank, but it should be beneficial doing something in your tank. It's not just sitting there doing nothing. Whereas at very first it was just put some gravel in. I like that color. That'll do. Yeah.
Well, and I have like, sometimes I try too hard. Some of my best looking tanks I have are the ones that I'm like, I've just left it alone. That tank doesn't need my help. Like I think it needs my help. It's doing just fine without you.
No. And because we come with super hard water to start
our water is liquid rock. Like we're you can't dig like an inch without having something. It's very, very hard water here. It's very, very, very hard water. So we are
6.6 or 6.8.
Really?
I think. Yeah. I don't use any dechlorinators either.
No.
But we're always told, could be wrong, that we have probably up there with the best drinking water in the world. So it's like it's treated so well and such good quality that I don't worry about it. I know that would change from where you live and all those sorts of things where you're getting your water. But I've just found it's not really an issue over here. And that's the other thing. If you're just topping up rather than doing a lot of water changes, it's not so bad as well. But now I'm feeling like, when is the last time I did a water change on some of these tanks? I'm like,
now he's thinking. Yeah. Now he's going, uh-oh.
Our water here is so hard that like we're constantly scraping with razor blades to the point even the wall behind the tank will have like a white residue on it just because there's limestone and calcium really bad on our water. That needs scrubbed off more than anything on the tanks.
Live bears love it though. Yeah, guppies love it.
They love it.
Well, that's the point. That's what I was saying before. Like, I need to do that. I need to set myself up because I definitely, be honest with you, since you and I spoke like a week ago or whatever, I was like, I really want to get some fancy guppies now. Like, I reckon I'm ready to try this again and do this again. And I feel like maybe I chuck them in this tank over here that's already set up that way. Just get it just even a couple males or whatever, and just go, if they thrive, then we know we're set up. We know we're ready, and then we'll set up a tank just for them.
Yeah,
all right, fine. I'll do it today. You talked me into it.
These are really pretty. These are green Cobra guppies. And if I don't know how to ship fish, or I would send you some. But that's in that tank I was talking about earlier. They're really pretty. That was the one whatever tank I stare at the most that day is my new favorite. So I was staring at that one a lot today. But they're the females in the front part of the males are kind of bland, but their tails are really pretty.
Yeah.
They're kind of a greenish polka dotted type.
Well,
but I don't know how to ship fish, or I would. I would send you some.
Well, it's not even really possible, unfortunately, because I speak to like Otter Creek, Kendall, all the time, and he does a lot of really cool, different sort of guppies, and I'm like, too far away. I don't even think he can send me plants.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I talk to Pam all the time. Actually, one fish that's illegal where you are that isn't illegal here is the honey blue eyes, honey blue eyes pseudomogul. And I got some like a while ago, and Pam really wanted them. What was that?
I said, finally, you're like, what up to you guys?
Yes. And then they died. So yeah, that wasn't that good. I don't know what it is. They're not a very hardy fish. I know Blake's got a couple, and he's trying to breed them, doing some summer tubbing. It seems to be the key to getting them to breed. They need to be outside. But everyone I know that can breed them, they just end up with like 4 or 5. A whole summer, they end up 5 more or something. And I reckon they only live for about a year or 2 as well. So very hard fish to sort of get on top of.
I have everything I breed outside, I always get super nervous when I go out there. I'm like, I don't know how they're going to do, but they always do so much better outside in those tubs than they do in the fish room. When it comes to like the minnows or the rice fish, or what was another one that we put outside? The rosy red minnows, the mosquito fish, you bring them inside and they disintegrate, and I leave them outside and they do great. So
I've never done summer tubbing. My wife is dead against like having anything like that outside, but we could keep a secret. Maybe I should try it this summer.
Our neighbor came over before he moved. He's like, are you going to stop with the fish outside at all? And I looked at him. I'm like, no, goodbye. This is my house. Go away.
Don't judge me.
Well, your neighbors kind of look at you funny.
You can't see them anyway.
When you pull in from your local farm and home store.
It's just pond.
And I went to the local farm and home store, and I made a deal with them, and I picked up a bunch of 300-gallon plastic stock tanks.
Yep.
Yeah, your neighbor looks at you funny when you're back in your truck in the driveway and you're unloading these 300-gallon tanks and taking them to the backyard. What are you doing with them? Oh, I'll just get ready to take a bath.
Like, if you're going to mouth me, you're going to help me. So go pick a corner and lift it.
I've just got some neighbors that I've got to get rid of. They'll be like, what's he going to do to us with those tanks? My neighbors all laugh. They all think it's funny, but they all have a bunch of them have little kids, and I open the garage door and the kids just play out the front, whatever, and I'll just chill out with them, like have a beer or something with my neighbors, and they'll bring all the little kids in. All the kids just run up to the fish tanks like on all of them. They love the saltwater tank and they love the goldfish tank. And so, yeah, they all sort of laughed at first, but I think they also actually get a bit of enjoyment out of it, and they see that, actually people do watch those videos. He's not just doing stuff on his own. It's a good hobby. It's a great hobby.
It really is. I'm so glad that my dad introduced me. Like, I don't have a memory without a fish tank. So I'm just glad that he took the initiative to have stuff, because I don't have a single memory without doing something on a fish tank. Like,
yeah. Well, how old were you when you got your first fish?
I don't know, little bitty, maybe 5. Because I would just go. It was Dad. This aquarium over here is the one I had when I was little bitty. I stole it from my dad.
I still got it.
Yeah, we resealed it. But my dad would take us. That was really the only thing Dad did with me, was take me to the fish store. He'd like pick out something cute. And half the stuff that we had in there did not need to go together. But he's like, pick out what you want. And so we would go and bring it home and stick it in there and feed it, and didn't have a clue what we got. We just thought it looked good.
it's a familiar story, isn't it? Everyone that's go, oh, I like that fish and that fish, like this goldfish over here. What's an Oscar? He's pretty cool too. And I'll get some guppies and
yeah, and thinking back, I was like, we had sharks and grommies and tetra and angelfish all in there, and it seemed everybody got along. But looking back, you're like, how did that work?
I know, and I think that's the thing. You can probably do more than we say, but there is a lot of I don't even want to I don't know, not even haters, but there's people out there that really just want to pull you up and go, you shouldn't do that. You can't do that. No, that's not right. And you go, okay, in your world, that's not right, but yeah, all right, let's have a discussion about it rather than just shooting each other down and going, okay, yeah, you're right. We shouldn't really be having this fish with that fish because this is going to happen eventually. So one good example, and it actually sort of probably took me from level 1 to level 5 in fish keeping, which sounds really weird, was adding crebensis into a community tank. And then going, I love these fish. Look at them. They're digging a hole. What are they doing? What do they do? And then all of a sudden popping out, and then all these little babies come out. You're like, oh, they've got babies. Oh, my God. Oh, now he's trying to kill that fish. Okay, what do we do? Now we're like, all right, we've got to change things up a bit because at the moment, I mean, I had the crebensis together and they kept breeding, and the male eventually killed the female. Like, he gets so overprotective of the babies, he would kill the female, or he killed the female eventually. He would attack her, and then after a little bit, he'd be like, oh, stuff these babies, I want more. And then they'd be friends again, and then it'd rinse and repeat. But I've got the fry from the first couple batches. They're all they're getting out to this size now. They're all pretty much fully grown. So I've chucked them back in. So now he's in with his first batch of fry. But they're all, because there's about 10 of them in there, there's none of that's really going on. But if there was only 2 in any other type of fish, they can cause some issues.
Yeah, it's just dependent on that particular fish that you brought home. It might like that, and it might not. So you put it in there, and then if it doesn't work out, put it in a different tank.
Well, Mary,
actually, because
some people wanted to know where we were from.
Oh.
We're in Missouri.
Yeah, right.
And then there was a really good question that went up earlier about the KH and what kind of pipes that our water was coming in. I know what ours comes in, and it's copper.
Copper, yeah. My parents' house that we sold, someone went into the house before we sold it and stole all the copper off the pipes.
Yeah, keep going. I can't remember who asked it. I seen it.
Mick M.
Yeah, Mick. Yeah, Mike M. Yeah, there it is. What's the KH in your tap water?
Comes out. I don't remember the specific off the top of my head, but I know on the. I used the Tetra.
He was asking Josh too. So. And what his piping is. I know what ours is, copper.
What pipe stuff? What was it? What materials does water pipes? I was trying to think of the KH number, and I was like, I don't remember off the top of my head. Let me grab it.
No, I'm pretty sure ours is copper too. I think. No, I don't know, because it's a new housing estate. Well, not really, a new street. So it's only our street's 4 years old. So might mean that it's plastic. I'm not 100% sure. KH, I actually haven't tested the tap water KH, to be honest. I do have a GH KH test kit. Just never done it. I only did it on I got it ages ago because I was having trouble with my discus, which I eventually lost the discus. So I was trying to test that and see, all right, what's going on here?
I remember where I put that. I just know it's high. Our water's it's
because he said we boost the pH. So it's not too bad when drinking. So,
yeah, I'm not sure what it is. Our water is just really hard, and it has a lot of stuff in it, mineral wise. I can't remember. I use the Tetra testing strips. I don't have one of the fancy test kits. I just use the strips. So, and everything registers really high. But I guess here the last few minutes, if you don't see any more questions, do you have anything that you want to promote coming out? Or your stream? Your stream's in a little while tonight, isn't it? Your stream?
No, I cancelled it so I could hang out with you.
Oh, well, thank you.
No, so the Aqua Mate experience is where I just try and have a guest on, and pretty much what we're doing right now. And it sort of was falling into 11 o'clock Saturday morning our time, which sort of leads into LRB.
Yeah, you're right before LRB for me.
Sorry?
You're right before LRB for me. You're the hour right before. It's you and then Luke.
Yeah. And because he seems he goes at weird times. It's always 11:39 or 11:42. But anyway, I only do that when I have a guest that's available at that time, and we've worked it out. So the next guest was actually going to be Dr. Black, because me and him talk all the time and we do stuff together. But I'm like, I've never had you on this show, and look, I kind of want to get to 100 episodes and speak to 100 different people. We're going to have some double ups here and there, but that's why I'd like you guys to join us in 6 months. That way we can sort of go back and go, remember when we said we were going to do this?
I did it.
It'd be fun. And then usually on Sundays, actually, I was talking to James from Fish Room Fever before. So usually every second Sunday I'll go and then Rumble will go. But because we've just hit daylight savings, it clashes really bad with Ed and James from Fish Room Fever. So I think I'm going to drop Sundays and not do it anymore. But next Sunday or Saturday night your time, I think Blackie and I are going to jump up and we'll sort of share the time slot and do it over at Fish Room Fever's channel, and have two Aussies having to go at two Americans. And
that'd be a fun chat.
It should be fun. But yes, I will hopefully be next Saturday doing an Aqua Mate experience. I just got to wait and see this stuff with work. Otherwise, it'll be during the week, and I'll put it out there. I'll schedule it and remind people. I'll do my annoying spamming of Facebook and say, guess what?
I always feel bad, but I was like, I want to share it too.
Yeah, exactly. And, I feel like, I'm spamming. But then some people go, I didn't know this was on. I probably should have actually put it out there, shouldn't I?
Well, thank you for being here and chit-chatting with me. I appreciate it greatly.
I love that you asked me, and I appreciate it. And I can't wait for you guys to come over. And so what are we going to do in 6 months' time?
You just have to wait and see.
You need to do a local fish store tour.
Oh, I'll do it. I'll psych myself. I'll do it.
And do some CO2.
When my mom, she told me, she's like, you're the one person, you'll get this stuff in your head, and no matter what, you'll do it, whether you want to or not. I'm like, well, I want to. They listen to me beforehand, and then I'm good. But now that he's on the
see all kinds of stuff happen now.
Well, it was funny because he would be like, that's just easy. Just do it when it came to the YouTube stuff. And now that he's participating and being on the channel pretty regular with me, he's like, that is a little bit harder than I thought. I was like, I'm kind of boring. I don't know how entertaining I am, but
just leave me alone. Just leave me alone with my hardware and my plants. All right. Let me do me.
It was funny. I was trying to do this brine shrimp thing, and it worked. It just didn't work the way I wanted it to work. And I was like,
not good enough for my lovely bride.
Just fix it. So I just left him alone, and then it worked. So I was like, thank you.
No, that's what I need. I need to do the brine shrimp thing too. That's that is what I'll do in the 6 months.
Yeah.
When you'll be like, Josh, how's your brine shrimp hatchery going? And I'll be like, that's right. I said I'd do that, didn't I? No, I really need to do that. I actually got a section over here. I'm like, let's get some live foods going over here because I think that's one reason I can't breed some of the fish I'm trying to breed. I reckon that they need that extra protein.
They went crazy for it, but I was having I'm not having a very good hatch rate. I have too many just eggs. It's all eggs and not brine shrimp. And then I went from that to my next one was I have way too many that hatched out. What am I going to do with all of this brine shrimp? So I went from like, whoa.
That's the part where you say thank you.
Yeah, I was like, this worked too well. So I was just eating brine shrimp. I was like, Koi, let's give you a cup of brine shrimp. Like, who wants to try brine shrimp today? But they ate it up. They loved it. So I'm gonna keep that up. Definitely, you should try it. It's worth it.
I definitely will. Maybe I'll just do them as sea monkeys, but no, I definitely want to set it up. It'll be good. And also, just quickly, Mary Page, it's awesome to hang out with you as well. And thank you for supporting everyone's channel. She's just saying that the Fish Fam is a huge part of her life now, and she's really happy to find it. So we're really happy that you hang out with us as well.
Social media and invite you on the chat too, because Mary's awesome.
Yes.
Well, thank you again for being here. I really appreciate it. And anytime you want to chit chat, just holler. I'm willing.
Will do.
So thank you again.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, everybody. I'll see you next Friday for another chat.
Peace.
Bye.